The John Lebang Show has been known to make people laugh, sing, think, scream, throw things in rage, and generally lose their minds. Listener discretion is advised.
Worldwide and out to the greater universe, you're listening to the John Lebang Show.
Greetings, Earthlings, and alert the media. The John Lebang Show is on the air. Welcome to the only hour that causes chronic brain cell rejuvenation. I'm your host, coming to you once again, another 60 minutes, fun-filled pack and, well, educational. Yep. And I think I'm going to have to get to some education here pretty soon, ladies and gentlemen, this hour. Yeah, because I'm seeing too many people not understanding how this country actually works. And how they want to change things in this country because, well, they have some sour grapes. By the way, I'm probably going to get kicked off at least one radio station real soon. I have a feeling I'm going to. Just because I have a different view of what is going on in this country. And I don't want to, shake up the entire Constitution just to, just so socialists can run the country. I'm kind of opposed to that. But the big thing going on right now, ladies and gentlemen, outside of the nice little staged riots, George Soros-funded riots that are happening, hopefully those calm down right around Thanksgiving, right through Christmas. They might not, but maybe they will because those people get hungry pretty soon, and maybe that $1,500 or whatever they're getting paid to stand out there and chant will suffice. But the people who are joining in that movement, that artificial manufactured movement there, the other people that are joining in, they probably will go home because they're going to get hungry. Unless they get that welfare check. And that's what I think this is about, welfare checks and, Anyway, so I want to get to this thing that's been going around Facebook and the Twitter, and it's we got to get rid of the Electoral College now because that is just not fair because it's not one man, one vote. Because I guess your vote doesn't count in your state with that mindset. Most people don't understand that the 50 states are supposed to be 50 separate entities under one umbrella. In other words, one protective umbrella. Militarily, if somebody attacks Michigan, Ohio, and Wisconsin, come to their aid. That's what that's about, but it's been changed over time. The idea of the 50 states, where there are people who think all 50 states, these are people who want the nation, the Washington, D.C., which is not a state in the Union. It's a foreign entity. It is under the protection of the United States and its Constitution, but it is a foreign power. It is not one of the 50 states. Under these United States, not the corporation known as the United States. Big difference. Act of 1782, I believe. Go check that one out. The purpose of the Electoral College is to protect smaller states, the minority, to protect those states from being controlled by states with giant populations. For terms of discussion, we're going to use California, because that's the largest state in the union, would have all the control over states like Delaware and Connecticut and New Hampshire if you went to a non-electoral college situation. And the people who are touting that you need one man, one vote do not understand that when you take out the Electoral College, your vote becomes even smaller. Because instead of being in a state where you have, let's say, 800,000 people, and you're one vote out of 800,000 people, and that determines how your state sends its electoral votes. Now you're one in, I don't know what the number was for voting, but I think it was like 180 million, 190 million, maybe 200 million people voted. I don't think it was that high, but it was really close. So you'd rather be 1 in 200 million, which makes your vote this big, over the fact that you're 1 in 800,000, which gives you a little bit bigger voice. The argument should be that you split your state's electoral votes on how the state vote goes. Instead of all for one, winner take all, instead of that situation, do like Maine does. I like the idea of Maine. I think they have 4. They gave 3 to Clinton and 1 to Trump. That at least everybody's semi-represented that way in your state, and the electoral votes get split better that way. I can see a change in your own state if you want to change your state's constitution to reflect that. But to want to change all 50 states because you have sour grapes that your candidate didn't win this time, the true nature of the Electoral College is to protect these smaller states, is to protect the one vote. Maybe in your state, if you want your vote, your electoral votes to represent the balance of your state better, go in and change the constitution of your state to split the vote somehow. Come up with some way, 60-40, maybe whatever the variance, you do the same variance in the electoral votes. There's nothing stopping you from doing that in your state. But to want to affect all 50 states, especially since you only live in one of those 50 states, technically you can only be in one of those states. I know people have homes in different states and they use that to give them an extra vote, and they use absentee ballots and stuff like that. But those are things. If you lived in another state and now say you were living in Washington and now you're living in Michigan, and you were a voter in Washington, you might want to check to see if somebody didn't use your vote this past election, because there has been a lot of voter fraud. In fact, there might have been 5 states that were really close that looked like there was some cheating going on, and they actually went in the blue category in the end. But we don't want to get into that, because we'll offend somebody here and there over maybe because they don't think there was cheating ever on their side. There's cheating in the elections on both sides, all sides. That's what they do. The election is always rigged one way or the other. The media picks a bias, so in that regards, it's rigged there, because the news is going to always reflect the bias. That's why I tell people to come to my show. Come here, because we don't have a bias for Republicans or Democrats. We hate them all. So we're going to give you the best information we have. See, I like avoiding the words truth and change and those kind of things because they're just words that one man's truth is another man's lie. I give you information here. I'm the real info warrior. And so are a lot of other people just like me. Because I'm not taking the credit for giving you all the information and I'm ahead of everything. I'm ahead of everything because I listen to people. And the people who listen to me, I also shuttle them over to the people. Just like you, when you're sharing information to your friends, you're helping the person who put out that information originally. So you're shuffling information. So that's why people like Alex Jones have gotten so huge in the past decade. It's because a lot of people follow that man and they share his information. And they help Alex Jones get bigger. And that people who share the information that I get, and I get my information through a few sources. I don't have the inside sources or as many inside sources as the Alex Joneses and those people, the people at CNN, yet I'm still ahead of the curve on all the mainstream media. They got the entire, they had all you people who were voting for Hillary. They tricked you all into thinking she was going to win. And they were trying to depress the vote on the other side. And in fact, I think it backfired on them. And I think there were a lot of people who were on the fence. Maybe we're going to sit out. We're like, shit, we can't let Hillary win because she's going to win. It looks like she's going to win. And those people went to vote for Trump. Look at the electoral map, you people who do not like the electoral process. States are red, 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 red. Most of the states went Trump. You take California and New York out of it, and it's an ass kicking. He would have wiped the floor with Clinton. You get 55 free votes. 55 points for free. That's an advantage. Every election, every presidential election, the Democrats get 55 free votes. And there are people, you're talking about one man, one vote. The people in California are never represented on one man, one vote. Because the people who vote Republican in that state, they never win anything. They never win anything. And when it comes to the presidential, all 55 votes go towards the Democrats. Doesn't matter who it is, doesn't matter the candidate. Doesn't matter how great the Republican candidate could ever be. Could be the savior of the world. California, 55 votes would go to Democrat no matter what. You take them out of the mix, or you split California up, where they're like Maine. 55 votes never come out of California then, and then every election the Republicans are going to win, because California, you only need 270. California gets you almost 25% of the way there, or 20% of the way there, almost 20 off the get-go. You throw in New York, and bada boom, bada bing. You're at like 25% of the vote for free. All you have to do is convince a few half of the rest of the states, and you win. And if you can't convince half of the rest of the states, which this time around, it didn't happen that way. If it would have went for Clinton, you'd be all happy right now, wouldn't you? Put in better candidates. The Democrat Party knew there was going to be strong opposition to Hillary Clinton, stronger than Barack Obama, stronger than any of the other candidates. What could have they, if they would have, instead of cheated for Hillary Clinton and put her ahead of Bernie, what bad stuff could have come out about Bernie Sanders? We might actually had an election and debates on substantive issues where the country was headed instead of a back and forth slap fest. But because the Democrat Party went ahead and allowed Hillary Clinton to cheat and to knock out Bernie Sanders, we ended up with this stick in the mud wrestling event, very much like I had on my Civil War special back in April. It's very funny how that's all turned into a mud wrestling match instead of a honest debate on where the country should be headed. And that's all because the Democrat Party sent up Hillary Clinton. There was going to be opposition. You guys should have cried foul when Bernie got ripped off and made them put Bernie in. Bernie got ripped off. You just allowed it to happen. Oh, okay, fine. Hillary's not, Hillary, we'll take Hillary. We know her. The Electoral College is a state-by-state representation. If you don't want your state to count anymore, go for the popular vote. If you want your vote to be smaller, to represent a smaller percentage, continue to vote or continue to believe in the popular vote. What you're saying is that you want to be able to have 3 people at a table, 2 people decide to kill 1 person because that's the popular vote. That's what you're saying. The Electoral College was put in place. Our founding fathers may have not been perfect men, and they may have done some deplorable things. But they were very smart people in the way they constructed the Constitution. It is not outdated. In fact, some of the amendments after the Bill of Rights are more outdated than the original part of the Constitution and definitely the Declaration of Independence. Now I got to go to break, folks. We're way over. I apologize to people who expect me to or want me to cover other things besides the government and the election process. And I want to do so as well, but I'm stuck on this stuff because I see things happening and I have to have discussions about it to make sure people understand what they're talking about. I was challenged that I didn't know what I was talking about the Electoral College. I know everything about it, man. I'm good. I do. I know about it. I explained to you why it's in place. It's there to protect states. Protect the small states against the big state. Popular vote also makes your vote even smaller. Would you want to be a factor of 1 in 365 million or a factor of 1 in 200,000? Where do you think your vote means more? In fact, if you want your vote to mean even more, then have your districts count as an electoral vote inside your state versus the popular vote inside your state. If you want your electoral votes to change, then go to your own state's constitution and put an amendment in there to say we want to split the vote the way the vote goes in our state. Don't try to make your state control my state. We're a different nation. Go look it up, folks. Go look up state. It is a nation. That's why they call it the Nation of Israel, as well as the State of Israel. The United States, not these. The United States is a corporation. These United States which is how it was originally written, are 50 nations under the protection of each other. Not, and I'm stating this because people have to get this through their head, not under the control of each other.
Don't touch that dial. The John Lebang Show will be right back.
You can bet on it, man.
Well, it's that time of year again. The temperatures are dropping, and so are the leaves. And they're clogging up your gutters. Now, I know you don't want to go up there and do that yourself, so why don't you call John? He's running a fall special right now. $95 to clean out your gutters on a one-story house. So get those gutters cleaned before winter comes, and then some real damage happens. Look him up on Facebook. John's Gutter Cleaning. Leave it up to him. You're listening to the John Lebang Show.
It's a hell of a good time, isn't it? All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Just to continue some thoughts, and while we're just in a short segment here before we go to the half-hour break. The Electoral College is a beautiful thing, because let's look at how things have developed over the past 20-some years. The balance of power has shifted pretty evenly because of this electoral college. We went from a president, George Bush, who represented big oil, a lot of big things, right? You on the left hated that. But those groups were part of America, and they were represented. Barack Obama got in office, and he represented the Wall Street people, the insurance class, and the broke-ass people. That's who was really behind him. The same people who were behind Hillary Clinton. The people with tons of money and the people with no money. The majority of the middle class voted for Trump. So what you're seeing is, in this cycle that the United States go through, which we had, let's look at it. Bush era. Republican Congress for Bush, but as Bush was in, it slipped into a Democrat towards the end. Congress, while we still stayed in Bush, went into Barack Obama, a Democrat. All Democrats in the House and the Senate slipped out of that because people were not represented fairly, and that's what's going to happen. We're going to see in the next cycle, this in 2 years. Can you believe we're already back in another cycle if you think about it? So we get 1 year off, and we don't get a year off, by the way, because we're going to now listen to all the crap about Donald Trump in his first year. Oh, it's just going to be endless. You know, I'm already sick about hearing his name, and he hasn't even stepped into office yet. So the Democrats took office, and they lost in the House, and then they lost the Senate while they had their Democrat president. And then we get our Republican, which I don't understand why there's so much opposition to Donald Trump on the left. He's a social democrat, plain and simple. Social democrat. He may be fiscally conservative. The point I'm trying to make here, if I'm trying to make any point, is that it will level out. The cycle will come back, and you Democrats who are all upset right now, who are sour grapesing to the end of the earth, will get your candidates back in, because that's the cycle we're in. We're in this cycle. It's normal. And in fact, if it is not controlled by some elite group and there's no major plan behind it, and that's how the American people go, then that's the way the country should go. Everybody should be represented. Don't you think? I mean, the people who voted for Donald Trump this election, have not been represented in a long time. Not through the Bush administration. The Bush administration, they were the elite people that were represented. The Obama, it was the insurance, the Wall Street, the money people, and the people who didn't have money. And the people who were in the middle there, the people who were actually paying all the taxes, actually having to put up with everything that they didn't like to put up with, finally won something. They get 4 years, well, maybe only 2 years of it, but they get 4 years of it. Every other class of people, including the extremely rich and the super poor, have had somebody in power for 8 years, if not longer. And the first time that I can tell, and I'm not saying Donald Trump is for the little guy, I'm saying the little guy gravitated to Donald Trump. The taxpayer, the middle class, the lower middle class working guy, the little lower class family who's struggling because they're paying crazy amounts of taxes. They're having to pay for everything themselves because everybody else is taking their money and it's getting either divvied off in contracts to rich people or in social programs to poor people. And they finally win something, and everybody is up in arms about it. The super rich don't like it because, oh man, the little guy won something for once. And the extra poor people and the people who depend on all that money being given out to them through whatever programs that are available, they're mad about it too. And they're the ones causing trouble. And they want to change the Electoral College. And they want to change a whole bunch of things about America because it isn't great now. Not anymore. It's not great anymore in their eyes. When they could have just put a candidate that was worth the crap up there. When they could have just said, no, Hillary, you cannot cheat. We're throwing everybody out who was involved with that cheating. Everybody. And we're going to put Bernie Sanders or somebody who wasn't so deplorable as a candidate. That's all you had to do. Put somebody worth a crap. You found a way to put in Barack Obama, didn't you? Apparently he was worth more than Hillary Clinton. He beat her once and then she lost to Trump. That says a lot about Hillary. If you don't like Barack Obama, but you liked Hillary, might be something wrong with you. That's what it boils down to, folks. It boils down to putting people in that are worth a crap. And you all sit home during the primaries and you all do whatever you want until the final few months when it's all crunch time. That's when you get involved. You're in this crisis management situation. And when you lose, you throw a temper tantrum. Unbelievable. You want more power in your voice? Don't make your voice one of 300 and some million, 200 million, whatever the nations, 50 nations, under the umbrella of the United States, under the umbrella of that protection, protecting each other. That's what the union is about, protecting each other, not controlling each other. You want your vote to count? Do something inside your state to make your vote count. That's where your power lies. That's where your power should be. Don't try to get into this grand thought that the more people who are in the pool of your voting pool that you're in is going to give you a bigger voice. No, it's going to give you a smaller voice. It's simple math. Right now, if you're in Connecticut, I don't know how many thousands of people are there. Let's say it's 200,000. You're one of 200,000 votes. If you take the popular vote and you count all the states together, you're one of 200 million votes. Does your vote count then? More or less, you tell me. Do the math. You're a smaller fraction. It's simple math. Anybody who can do math can figure that one out. But we got people that want to make their voice smaller and think it's actually going to make it bigger. No, those people don't actually want their voice bigger. What they want to do is be part of the clique that's bigger. That's what it is. Always about the clique with the human being. They do not want to stand alone. They want to be part of something. We're going to get into the protest when I get back, and I'm going to tell you how you truly should protest if you're not happy with the outcome of the election, because I've been doing it for 6 years now. Be right back.
Don't go anywhere. The John Lebang Show will be right back. Don't be a fool. You know, if you're getting married soon and you need good entertainment, you need to contact John Lebang. He's got 30 years of experience of wedding entertainment under his belt, and there is no one better and no one cheaper. He's running a special to the end of the year, $500 for your wedding if you book now. Contact John Lebang by email at jlebang@live.com or go to his website. That's www.jlebang.com.
Hey, man, it's at the bottom of the hour, man. Do you know where your kids are, man?
Forces of darkness, the treasonable minds who collaborate, must can and will be wiped from the face of the earth.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this last half hour of this week's broadcasting here on the John Lebang Show. I feel a need to explain to people how a more positive way of protesting and a more constructive and, I would say, more convincing way of protesting is, instead of these people that are out there causing violence. If you have a grief with the government or the election process or whatever, the way is not to go out there and cause violence and destroy people's property. Do what I've done. When Barack Hussein Obama took office, and I started feeling the pinch, and I felt the pinch of his policies, as well as George Bush's failures. They all kind of like squeeze. See, there were a lot of people that felt that exact squeeze that I felt. I understand the people who voted for Trump. I understand them. The people who were actually for him versus in opposition to Hillary, because there was a lot of that too. See, Democrats, if you would have put somebody else besides Hillary Clinton up there, you probably would have won. Bernie probably would have won. Because the country leans left mostly. It's gone that way. We know that. I know that. I mean, Donald Trump, who's socially liberal, for sure, socially liberal. He leans left on most of those social issues. Fiscal issues, he might be more of a conservative guy. I mean, he did get, this is an amazing thing. If there's one thing to say about Donald Trump, he only paid $5 a vote versus Hillary Clinton that I don't even know the number. It's probably in the $1,000 or more range per vote Hillary Clinton paid for. And her PACs and all that. So, whether you like Donald Trump or not, the one good thing that we might get out of it is that he may tighten up the government, and the government might not spend, $75 on a hammer anymore. And then that would free up money because Donald's a social liberal, for social programs, because Donald's not going to take away a bunch of social programs. Nope. If you've listened to the guy, instead of getting your news from CNN and all MSNBC, and stop listening to the Hillary Clinton crime machine, and you would have just listened to 10 Donald Trump rallies the whole way through. He's a social liberal, dude. He's physically conservative. So in the one regard, if anything comes from it, it's possible Donald Trump will clear everything up so we don't have to pay $700 for a microwave in the government. We clean that up, we're great. I don't have problem. I mean, why would you have a problem with him wanting to renegotiate trade deals that are not in our favor? See, there's certain things I didn't understand why anybody was opposing Donald Trump. Donald Trump, he was an idiot on some things, and he's a former Democrat. I don't understand why Democrats don't like him. And now you see with all the niceties that are happening after the election, he's friends with Clinton now again. She's honorable, blah, blah, blah. She did a great service to the country. He's all up there yucking it up with Barry, and you think Barry's worried about anything? Barry's legacy is fine and dandy, so you guys shouldn't have a problem with Trump. You guys just believed the Hillary Clinton crime machine and the massive amount of lies coming out of it. And you see what I'm doing? I am protesting at this moment. This is where I'm going with this little segment. If you want to protest something, get yourself a microphone, a mixer, start a YouTube channel like I did, and start telling the people the rights and the wrongs as you see it. Be convincing. You'll bring people along. I have a friend, a very dear friend, who's watched my growth. And I'm telling you, she'll tell you, if you're good at what you're doing, and if you're honest about it, and if you're not biased in any way, and you just tell it like it is, like you see it, people will start following you and start listening to you. And then you'll be able to change hearts and minds that way. Without violence, without destroying people's property, without changing the way the country works. As in the Constitution. Because there may not be a perfect document, but it's the best governing document in the history of mankind. And anything that's really been fouled up with it has happened after the Bill of Rights. Now, I know some people are going to complain about certain parts of it, but that's the way it was back then. Certain amendments have canceled that out, and we're good. Because I didn't say all the amendments after the Bill of Rights were bad, but that's where it started falling apart. When they started giving rights to the government through the amendment process. That's where things started going wrong. Because the government doesn't have rights. My single right, me, is supposed to have more rights than the entire United States federal government. Your rights as well. That's right. The individual, the one person, that person's rights cannot be trampled on by the government unless that person is completely trampling on other people's rights. Because the government is there for protection, not control. And until people can get that through their head, and we're never going to fix the problems. It's not about controlling people. The government is supposed to protect the 50 American states. It's the umbrella of protection. That's it. It's supposed to make sure we don't fight amongst ourselves either. That's it. But a lot of people want to use that government for control. We've seen a lot of it. And that's why I started my broadcast, my programming. Because it was the policies of the Obama administration as well as the Bush administration's failures that were residuing over into the Obama's regime, his tenure here. Those policies were damaging me, as well as a host of other people. And they damaged us. We faced the damage during the Bush administration. It continued and got worse under the Obama administration. And that's why Donald Trump won. Because the people who never had the time to go vote, who felt disenfranchised for years because neither party actually represented him or her, they got sick of it this election. And they went out there and they said, we're going to put Donald Trump in office. And the electoral map, and I know a lot of people don't like this, but it's all red. People from there's only pockets of blue. Small pockets of blue. And people want these small pockets of blue who have dense population, who are people that normally don't pay a whole lot of taxes or who are controlled and are very wealthy. The middle class rarely lives in these dense populations. The people who pay the actual burden of taxation without representation were the ones who said we had had enough this election. And if the Democrat Party would have put anybody besides Hillary, they probably would have won. But because they didn't win, they want to protest and cause violence. They want to change how we elect presidents, which kills me because, again, they're giving the president power. The president is only a figurehead. He has limited power unless you allow that power to grow. And during the Obama administration, the people who voted for Obama allowed it to grow. You let Obama become the king. You let Obama become a soft dictator. Because it was okay, because he was implementing policies you had no problem with, for the most part. But just think about it. I want you guys to think about this, you Democrats especially, and you Republicans, who complained about the NSA. It was the people who voted Obama in and blindly turned their eye away from the fact that he was growing the massive, most intricate spy network on the face of the planet. And now, because you were silent during Obama when all that happened, Trump has it. The Republicans have it. And if Trump becomes a despot, it was because you allowed Obama to make the spy network. That's right. You did nothing about it. You kept silent. You voted him in. You were the ones that had the power over him. That's right. You were the ones who had the power over him. The people who lost the election didn't have power over him. He did not represent the 49% that didn't vote for him. He never did and never was going to. You have a better shot with Trump, believe it or not, of that happening. More of the population will probably be represented under Trump. But we'll see. He's not in office yet. And it looks like it's going to be an interesting period between now and his inauguration. I don't think Trump's his own man. I mean, okay, I'm going to change that. There's a very small possibility Trump's his own man. I think the world powers, the ones that actually are behind this, the agenda of the United States and the rest of the world, the ones that are fomenting revolution, they wanted Trump in there. We'll do a conspiracy theory on the other side of the break. We're going to take a quick one now, folks, as we're running really long today. Again, I have a lot to say, and I don't think I can get it all out in an hour. It seems impossible.
Don't touch that dial. The John Lebang Show will be right back.
You can bet on it, man.
Fans, do you need a video for your brand new song but don't have a lot of money? Then contact John Lebang. His reasonable rates, professional look, and fast turnarounds will help get that song off the ground. Contact him at jlebang.com. If you want to call into the John Lebang Show, just dial 313-444-8919 or send us an email at jlebang@live.com. Or you could just join the chat room at the station you're listening to. Banger.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this final little segment here before we get to our buddy Shady and some cool or uncool. And then we're going to wrap up the show after that, and that'll be another week in the can. Just a few things before we head over to this conspiracy theory that I've come up with. I want to give you some scheduling notes. We're going to go right up until the end of this November with brand new broadcasting. We're going to have a birthday broadcast on December 17th, my birthday broadcast. All the characters are going to be here. We might even stream on YouTube and a whole bunch of other places. We're trying to coordinate all this stuff together. The bigger news is that we're going to have a brand new 2-part special coming up New Year's Eve and New Year's Day on our main affiliate station, Alien X Radio, which is going to carry on for a couple weeks on the rest of the stations, and it's going to be the continuation of the Banger universe, and we're going to have a massive amount of characters in this one. Biggest one probably ever. It's gonna be full of excitement. It's going to be full of mayhem. It's going to be great. The working title is called Destiny Wars. So just keep that in your brain as we get closer to the holidays and such. We'll start getting commercials too. Now, to finish off what I was discussing earlier before we get to the little conspiracy theory is your vote only counts when the collective keeps getting smaller. The more you add to the pool, the less your single vote counts. So when you're talking about going to a national popular vote and you live in a smaller state, and it doesn't matter how big your state is actually, because it's you. Your vote is now one of whatever, 300 million. If that's how many people want to vote, or that's how many people are voting. If you're 1 in 300 million, your vote counts less than if you're in, let's say, Connecticut, where you're one of 200, 300,000 people. Your vote means more in the Electoral College because you control which way your state votes. And your state is a nation unto itself that is protected by the United States umbrella. It is not controlled by that. And the people who want the popular vote are not thinking of how small their vote is actually going to be. Because in a popular vote situation, all you need is one state to be demographically changed in such a fashion to where you never, ever get the person you want in office, and you're always a loser. The electoral vote protects the minority. It does. And I thought that's what the left-wingers were about, protecting the minority. You want to protect Delaware's vote, don't you? Or do you want California or Texas to always control? I'd like to see California split into 3. That'd be awesome. Because then they would be on the level of all the other states, the other big states. But it's not going to happen. That would be up to California to decide to change how they vote. Because I think it's pretty unfair that California always goes Democrat, even though that one man, one vote in California votes Republican or independent. Just some thoughts. If you have to protest, start a radio show, start a YouTube channel. It's easier than ever to do so. And if you're good, and if you tell the truth, and if you're not biased, and if you actually do your freaking research, people will listen, people will gravitate to you, and your numbers will grow, and you will do it peacefully through the microphone instead of through violence and coercion, which is what is happening right now because people are unhappy and whining that Donald Trump, a socially liberal candidate, won the White House. All right. Why did Donald Trump win the White House? I have a conspiracy theory on this, and it might give you something to think about.
Conspiracy Theory.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I touched on this in the first hour, but is it possible that the elites, the ones running the world, figured out that Hillary Clinton was untrustworthy with secret information and decided that they didn't want her as the president? They prefer the guy that might have deceived the non-believers in the system to vote for him. They each had a task this election. Donald was to bring in the non-believers. Hillary's was to lie to your face and to see if she can get away with it. Donald won because he did his job much better than Hillary Clinton.
Conspiracy Theory.
It is the U.S. intelligence agency that are part of the New World Order who leaked the documents to WikiLeaks.
Conspiracy Theory.
Listen to Julian Assange. He says it's not the Russians. And listen to agents from the government.
Conspiracy Theory.
So if it was the New World Order spy apparatus leaking the information on Hillary, then it's safe to say this conspiracy theory is valid. Donald Trump was put there to cause civil unrest.
Conspiracy Theory.
Hey, sorry I'm late.
Yeah, I was wondering where you're at, Shady.
Well, I was indisposed.
What does that mean?
You don't want to know.
All right, then. So, did you get a cool or uncool for this evening?
Yeah, I thought up a good one. I'm telling you, it's a really awesome one.
Well, what is it?
Well, give me the intro first. I mean, I can't do it without the intro.
All right. Tonight's cool or uncool is...
Tell those whiny crying babies to shut the hell up.
That's a pretty long one, Shady.
I don't care. Why would you?
Well, I don't know if people are going to want to answer that one.
Well, how do you want me to shorten that one up?
I don't know how to shorten it up.
Then that's why it's that long.
Well, I see your point.
Are you going to continue now?
I was just about to do that, Shady.
Well, then do it.
Now, if you want to chime in on that cool or uncool, you can send us an email at jlebangonlive.com, or you can just comment in the chat room.
And if you want to call in, then dial 313-444-8919. And someone might just pick up and you might be able to get on the radio.
Speaking of calling in, our first call comes from Detroit, Michigan, where they're listening in on Alien X Radio. What say you?
I'm just so upset over this whole thing. Everything was going my way and everything was just turning out the way I love it. And now all this, and I'm so mad. I want the whole world to change, and I want it to change now. And there's going to be people that are going to have to pay for this.
So you're saying uncool?
Well, yes, silly. Don't you understand English?
Like I care. Goodbye.
Thanks for your call. One for the uncools. Over to Florida, where she's listening in on Raw Talk Radio Online. Cora, what say you?
I think tell those little bastards to shut their asshole.
So I guess that's a cool, right?
Shut up.
Okay, thanks for your call.
Now that's one angry old lady.
Yeah, she never seems to be in a good mood.
She probably stinks.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you know, all old women stink.
Back out to the phones, listening in on 24.7 The Stream in Chicago. Peppa, what say you?
I'm so bad I don't know what to do. How's am I gonna pay for my baby daddies? They ain't gonna help me. The government ain't gonna help me. What the hell someone's gonna pay?
Okay, thanks for your call. I guess that's another uncool, Shady.
Yeah, I think you're gonna get a lot of that. A lot of people's parties are ending real soon.
Back over to the phones, where he's listening to us on the 365 Radio Network. Abu, what say you?
Hello, John. Back on the radio again. Yes?
It's only been an hour. How did you get down to Columbus, Ohio from Detroit in 1 hour?
Oh, John, I have a magic camel, and I use it every Christmas.
But it's not Christmas time, Abu.
Well, I heard the songs already on the radio, like Jingle Bells, and I was just like, oh, it's Christmas time. I'm going to break out my camel and go riding around, and anyways, I'm on the run. So that's why I had to get, because they were chasing me because I switched and voted Donald Trump.
Yeah, a lot of people are getting beat up for that. Don't let anybody know.
Well, it's kind of my fault because I put a bumper sticker on the back of my camel that said I voted for Donald Trump.
Well, you better take that off.
Well, I tried, but when I tried to pull it off, the camel kicked me and I went to flying far away. And every time now I get close to the camel's butt, it wants to spit out me.
So, are you calling in for cool or uncool?
No, Don, I wanted to call in and sing you another song.
You have another song for us, Abu? Which one is it now, Abu?
1, 2, 3, 4. I've paid my dues.
Oh, God.
Time after time.
He likes Queen. He likes
I
Queen,
guess
Shady.
my vote
He might be a queen.
and committed
No,
no
he voted
crime.
Trump. He's not a queen.
And now I'm
You may
being
be right
chased
on that. I mean,
from here to there.
you're gonna have like nobody.
I
listening
tried to
this.
climb the fence.
You know,
I ripped
last
my
hour
dress,
I had
and you
stomach
could see my
problems. I was in the
underwear.
bathroom for 10
We
minutes, and now
are
this,
the
I'm gonna be thrown up.
champions.
We haven't had dinner yet. How can you throw up
Are the
anything?
And maybe my stomach
champions.
just coming out my mouth, and that's
Yes,
it.
no time for
well, that's a new key if I ever heard it.
losers,
Oh my
'cause we
God.
are the champions
My
of
stomach.
this election. Yes,
Oh, man, it's pretty funny, Shady.
I love you all. Thank you. Go Trump. Yes, yes.
And that's it, ladies and gentlemen, for yet another 2 hours down the drain this week already. They go by so fast here on the John Lebang Show that you can't even hold your breath or blink your eye or you're going to miss something. I appreciate all the affiliate stations that are helping support this radio broadcast. I'm sure I might lose one or two after this episode.
Same time.
Maybe.
Same space.
It's okay. I'm growing, and that's what's important. Don't forget to go to my website. That's www.jlebang.com. Thank you all for listening and tuning in each and every week. And until the vibrations of my vocal cords reach your ears again, this is John Lebang. I am signing off.